Welcome everyone to mobilerolling.net, and I tell you, we've got a very special guest coming up after this short break, a man that has really helped harness racing for many years, and also the thoroughbred industry as well. He's a local man from Kapunda nowadays. He's been about, he's done some very special things, and I'm talking about Stephen Pearson. So he's going to be one of the special guests on our show here today. We'll take a break, we'll come back with more. Well, our very special guest is Stephen Pearson. Stephen, great to have you on the show, and how are you?
Good, thank you. Yep, I'm travelling reasonably well.
Yep. Now, Stephen, you've got a long history in harness racing and also in thoroughbred racing as well. Let's talk about where you got started as far as getting involved in harness racing, because that was the first part of your journey, I suppose.
Not quite. I did start at 14 with my father-in-law at the races.
Oh, did you?
Okay. For being a barrier attendant.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and then I went on to, moved out to Globe Derby, and I moved on to be clerk of the course out there at Globe Derby and drive trotters out there as well. So, yeah.
Okay, so you actually started in thoroughbred racing, and you ended up going back there as the starter of the thoroughbred races as well.
Yes, that's correct. I, as I said, started as a barrier attendant, worked through the clerk of the course there, and then worked on to be the starter there now.
I've seen you for many years and followed a little bit of your fortunes and things like that, and I know you're a great horseman. So at 14 years of age, helping at the barriers as a barrier attendant, all right, we know that they get a bit fractious. Any injuries from that?
Not at the races, I haven't had any, so yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, and look, we've seen it, and a lot of people that watch Sky Channel and see it. When you were a barrier attendant years ago, the other blokes were not trying to be unfair to them. They'd be struggling with one, then Stephen Pearson would just come along and boom, push it straight in.
Yeah, I was always not as big as I am now, but a reasonably strong sort of young lad and tall and had a bit of force behind me. So yeah.
Yeah, and confident with horses. You never really ever show me that you've been scared of a horse at all. You just think they're there and you just work with them.
Oh yeah, you just work around them the best you can, and make sure you don't put yourself in harm's way. It's where you put yourself most of the time to get hurt.
Yeah. So at 14 you were a barrier attendant. Yes. So when was the step to getting involved with working harness racing horses?
We moved out there, I'm not quite sure the year, but it was the year Elvis Presley died. That's it, I can remember at the Globe Derby.
I think it's 1977 off the top of my head.
With my father-in-law, or it wasn't my father-in-law then, I just worked for him, Dick White, and we started training trotters out there all the time, and we had a big team in work, and just went on then driving and everything else, and my father-in-law used to be the clerk of the course, and he moved me and my brother into the jobs to help us along with wages and everything else. So it went on good from there. All
right, you've gone a step ahead, because I mean you went out and worked with Dick White. Then he wasn't your father-in-law then. No. That was something down the track. So Dick was always Dick and Janet always people that took on people, happy to have them live in their place. Is that what happened with you?
Yes. He's had a lot through there with people. Yeah, he took us in, and I lived there. I've lived out there all my life since I was about 14, 15. So yeah.
Yeah, and of course then you thought you'd do the right thing. This bloke's put me up, so I'll marry his daughter.
Well, I don't know if he sort of did that first, but yeah, that's exactly what happened, yes.
That's good. Now, what about the clerk of the course side of thing? Did that come before or after driving at the trots?
That came after driving at the trots.
Okay.
We were, Dick was a horse breaker and everything like that, and we were in rodeos, so we learned to ride bulls, bonks, and pick up in the rodeos and things like that. So the clerk of the course area sort of came virtually natural to what we were doing with problems and bits and pieces and riding. So yeah.
Now it would have been a great teaching from a great man that was just so good at handling horses and known as a great colt breaker as well.
Yes, one of the best that I've ever seen and been with. Not just because he's my father-in-law, but yeah, you just had that knack with horses.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you remember Did you, when it came to the age of 16, is that when you started driving at the trots?
Yeah, around 16, 17, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you get a winner instantly, or did it take a
No,
while?
no. I was one of the unfortunate ones that went through Dick's stables. He put me on some of the worst ones first. He said, you'll learn to drive a lot better by driving losers than winners. So, yes, we went through a hard task first, but yeah, it was good to get my first, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember your first winner?
I do. It was on a boggy track at Gawler
Yeah.
on a horse called Kai Valley Power, yeah.
Yeah, trotter,
Yeah,
obviously.
Trotter,
Yeah.
yes.
Because Dick was famous for having his trotters. He
Oh,
had more trotters than pacers pretty
yes,
well, you know.
yes.
And even when we go to the Cadena days, there was always you, there'd be Dick, there'd be Michael Pearson also driving in the same race. And sometimes you had to get other people to
Yes,
drive the
yep.
team as well, you know.
Yeah, Lance Justice, John Justice,
Yeah,
well-known drivers now.
yeah, for sure. And you enjoyed that part of it, the harness racing side of things?
Oh no, I loved it for the time I was with it all. It was all a very good. It was demanding. You always around weekends and that you're always working and things like that. But no, it was a very good time.
Yeah, I remember one time being at the Globe Derby trials on a Wednesday night, and I was there as a spectator, and I'm pointing this out how good a horseman this man is, was something I couldn't ever do. But the horse you were driving at the trial, I think the rein broke, and then you had to climb up the cart, the shaft of the cart, jump on the horse's back, and then pull it up itself, because we didn't have a clerk of the course at the
No.
trials back in those days.
No, we were driving.
Do you remember
the
that
trots.
night?
Yes, I do remember it well.
Tell us your story.
Well, I was driving a nice mare called Walking Fair. She was a very good trotter. And I pulled out with a lap to go, 3 wide to make a run down the home straight, and my outside rein broke.
Yep.
Which left me with no run the outside with the horse that hangs in. So I've never been one to sit around and wait for a problem to happen. So I climbed the shaft, as you said, and jumped on his back and pulled up in the back straight, so without any trouble. So yeah, a lot of people thought it was very good. So yeah.
And Dick probably said, I taught him how to do that.
Yeah, Dick could take the credit for everything, most things that happened. But yeah, mind you, he taught us how to trick ride and everything else, which all comes into the
Horsemanship and yeah.
bits and pieces. So he probably did teach us 99% of everything.
Yeah. At what stage then did you take over starting at the thoroughbred racing? I mean, whilst that was going on, were you clerk of the coursing at the thoroughbreds, or were you still at the starting gates?
I was clerk of the course at the thoroughbreds, then moved up to the next level.
Yep.
So
which was the starting
yes,
the races?
about 10, 12 years ago.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
And did you enjoy that part of it?
I've enjoyed a lot, the whole way through. There's always different things that happen and so on. It's been a good life. I sort of can't complain.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So out of all that, what's given you the most thrills out of those areas?
Oh, well, you enjoy, when there's, I liked a little bit of action. So, when you did get loose horses to catch or bits and pieces like that, it was just good, you were doing something and achieving, good things. You're
helping people,
and making sure nobody got hurt in the way. So, but I had my fun with driving good winners at the trots, and I drove and trained a high size stakes final winner. I don't know what year that was either, but it was about 30 years
Happy
ago.
Hannah, was it?
Happy Hannah, it is. You've got a good memory. Yes.
I used to have one.
Yes.
Yeah, and big odds too to win the
100
Southern
to
Cross.
1.
Yeah, 100 to 1, yeah. Look, your brother Michael also very skillful, and he went through the Dick White training side of things.
Yes.
I remember being at Gawler Trots one night, and back in those days we only had one clerk of the course, I think,
Yes,
from memory.
that's right.
And there was an incident where there was multiple horses where the drivers were dislodged. And up the front straight, Michael, he was on his horse. He grabbed one this side and one that side, and I think they actually lifted him off of his actual horse that he was riding. Do you remember that night?
Yes, he saddle slipped.
Okay.
And he saddle slipped down. He went down the side. And he managed to put his arm around the side of the other one and his own horse, and managed to pull him up while he was hanging between the both horses.
So he had 3 horses all at once.
So yeah, no, He was a very good clerk of the course till he got hurt. Yes.
Yeah, and tell us about that because he's had major back problems since then, hasn't he?
Yes, he's not worked since virtually. He was catching a horse at Strathalbyn Racecourse, and it was a trotting trainer's racehorse trainer, and Mr. Paddens. They went into racehorsing and training and that, and this horse broke loose, and he went out and he caught the horse. But as soon as he got hold of the horse, it stopped dead,
Yep.
and jerked him back in a motion backwards, and he done a heap of discs and problems to his back. So he virtually was nearly a paraplegic most of the time. They didn't think he'd walk again, but through hard work and everything else, he got back walking and doing things, but not he couldn't get back good enough to go back to work.
Yeah.
So.
I've got to say, and I've told people this many times, I think that in that area where we've had Dick White, yourself, and also your brother Michael as well, we've had equivalent to the best clerk of the course people in the world. Very skillful. They'd make the area safe. They'd turn an unsafe situation into a safe situation. And I think the Pearson and White family together have helped that. And you've had other support as well, you know, from Viv Heath, Jimmy Metton's been out there, you know, a couple of others that I probably missed as well, you know. And it was a good team. You could rely on each other because you all did your job perfectly well.
Yeah, we'd always have somebody. We've had a young lady called Jamie Foster, who was trained with Viv Heath and ourselves, and you know, they've came into it, and you know, we had people that we knew that were going to be good enough to do the job.
Capable to do it very hard, and it's a hard job. It's a tricky job. You need those skills, and you build up on those skills. And you would train your horses as well, the ponies that you're riding. So tell us some of the training things you'd have to do to make them equal to do the job what you've asked them to do.
You had to make sure that they could handle the trotting box for one, because some horses just won't handle them. So I mean, I'd break all my horses into the trotting bike, things like that. But you'd crack stop whips off them, bag them down, and ride around with flags and anything you could do to make them quiet and good enough to go in and do their task at the meeting. You know?
You had a really sad situation at Globe Derby one night. One of your ponies got hurt, and this was probably instrumental in the sulkies being changed from wooden sulkies to metal sulkies. But tell us that story about that.
Well, I went in to catch this horse. The horse had tipped the driver out and broken the sulky, and it was still getting dragged along from behind the horse with the traces. And I caught the horse, and as soon as I caught the horse and started to ease up, the bike came from behind and catapulted forward. The shaft went right through the back of the horse's leg and coronet down the bottom and into the bottom of his hoof. And it looked like he thought it was nearly going to have to be put down. But Bill Harvison, the vet, who was the vet on course that day, came out and he pulled the stake out of his leg and took him straight back to his surgery and operated on him all overnight and everything, and managed to save the horse. And he did come back to work after that. So it was very good, you know.
And look, I've seen the video footage of that, and you're distraught because your mate was hurt. Like, you know, you love your horses, they help you out, and you know, but I could tell that you were really concerned about your mate.
Yes, no, it does affect you in certain ways. I mean, that one happened at the trots and that, and it does get you a little bit upset and everything else. And I had the same similar sort of thing happen to me on a racetrack with one of my very, very good old clerk horses, a horse called Bowl Game. And he suffered a heart attack cantering back from a start. So, you know, it upsets you when they go, sort of, because they're your family, really, you know. They're part of your family.
How do you pick a horse that's going to be good for the job? Because, I mean, you've got to have a horse that's nice and relaxed, and you used to just stand over there virtually where the horses would come on and off the track at Globe Derby, and you'd have your horse nice and relaxed. But when it was time to go, you'd just say, "Go, boy," and they'd go, and they'd go like a rocket. Then you'd have to ease them up. So how do you find a horse to do that? What's the best choices?
Well, I've always used to use quarter horses and horses like that. They were sort of very good, and you know, you'd pick them out. You'd pick them out when you go to buy them or look at them as their nature. You go for a ride and you get an idea what they're like, a little bit like that, and then the rest is your training and how much to put into them, and the more you put in, the better you get. You know, they get. So.
Steve, we had a sad moment where the man that we're speaking about that taught you, Dick White, unfortunately, was killed in the house fire at Globe Derby.
The horse racing community is tonight mourning the loss of legendary trainer Dick White, who died in a house fire at Globe Derby. The talented horseman not only excelled in his sport, but also mentored many others throughout his long career.
The blaze started just before 3 a.m. on Port Wakefield Road. Neighbours raised the alarm, but Dick was trapped inside the home and couldn't be saved. Investigators spent the day sifting through the remains. They've determined the blaze was accidental.
Sad time for the whole family?
Yes, very sad. Yeah, I got the phone call at home early hours of the morning, and my wife was already down there. She was on the way to work when she got the call, and she rang me, and Kate, Marianne's sister Kate, picked me up, and we got down there, and it was just horrific. You wouldn't believe it could happen to you. You know, half the house was burnt down, and that, and we never saw Dick or anything, but his room and the house was just a mess. You know.
Yeah. He's a man that you'll never ever forget, because I mean he helped you in so many ways as a young man when you first went to his property. You and your brother taught you the skills that he had as a horseman, and then gave you an opportunity to build on that.
Yes, yeah. No, he was very good. He gave a lot of kids
An opportunity.
Start, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I know we had a bloke come over from Western Australia, Peter Hart.
Yep.
You might have known
Yeah, I remember
him.
Peter, yeah.
Yeah, he went back to the West and got married anyway. But, a lot of people come from all places and worked there for a while and that.
And Dick and Janet would just welcome them into their household, look after them, and providing they did the right thing, they're happy to have them there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Janet White, she was a godsend. She fed everybody and looked after everybody too. So, like they were their own. So, very good.
Yeah. Now, what's Stephen Pearson doing now? What's your plans from here on?
Well, I'm the starter at the races.
Yep.
That'll probably.
You'd like to do that to retirement, you think?
Yeah, that'll see the end of me, I think, and that. I'm also on the committee here at Kapunda Tots.
Yes.
We try to keep the trotting going up here and do the best we can. So you're just talking to Stephen and that. So, yeah, we're going pretty good up here.
Yeah. You still living at Kapunda?
I live on the old property of Dick White's.
Yep.
And his mother's place. We live out there and everything. Nice, peaceful bit of acreage, and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There's the profile of Stephen Pearson, a great man who saved many horses from getting injured when drivers have been tipped out of the sulky at Globe Derby and so forth. But Stephen, great to have you part of mobilerolling.net.
Thanks. Good to see you again, Jim.
There's Stephen Pearson.